Are you trying to set aside some money, some capital to save and try to get ahead? Are you an income investor or just an investor and you're trying to reinvest something on a regular basis? Are you struggling with that? Or do you find it that some months it's kind of difficult? You know, to be honest, I think this last month I didn't do so well with reinvesting. It was a few $100s. And you might be thinking, well, that's pretty good. But, you know, for me, it's way below average what I reinvested this month. And I'm a little disappointed. I had, you know, a vacation that I took, some unexpected expenses, and I just wasn't able, you know, to reinvest like I normally do or what I wanted to, what I planned. A little disappointing, but, you know, if you find that you're struggling to reinvest, you know, don't let it get you down, and just, you know, look to the future, look for ways you can change that and make things, you know, better, and, you know, get to a point where you can reinvest more of your money and snowball your investments. I was thinking about what I wanted to reinvest in, and, you know, right now I'm primarily focused on the Round Hill weeklies. And, you know, if you know anything about them, and, you know, the share price, you know, they're around $40. Some are over 40, some are a little under. But, like, it's not cheap, you know, and you would reinvest, you know, a few $100s, and heck, that's not a lot of shares, you know. It kind of feels like, you know, some months, if you have a month like that, you're not really getting ahead very much. But the main thing is that you are reinvesting, and that, you know, you are getting ahead and you're snowballing it. And yeah, maybe you have a bad month, you know, maybe you spent some money you weren't expecting to spend, and, you know, like I said, don't let it get you down. Just try to do better in the future. If you're, you know, struggling to come up with money to invest, one of the things you could look at is budgeting and using a budgeting app. Now, Dave Ramsey, he has a free version of his budgeting app. So that's something that you can look at. You know, if you're really struggling to invest any money, I would say, you know, probably don't pay for it. Just use the free version. I'm sure it's going to be good enough for you. And try to find some way, you know, to cut your expenses. You know, unless you have a side gig that you can start that's going to be reliable and, you know, make you some extra money, that's probably the easiest way. I would say that's almost always the easiest way, is just cut expenses. You know, find subscriptions that you don't need. You know, some of these subscriptions, you know, they could be, you know, $20 and up a month. And, you know, that buys you a share of some of these options funds. If you just cut that out and you realize, hey, I'm not even using this subscription, or I'm not using it all that often, you know, consider cutting that. Like, I don't need this. You know, I'd rather have a share of something a month, and at least you're getting somewhere, right? You're trying to reach your fiscal goals and try to get to a place that's better in the future. And that's, you know, that's really what you want to do. Just keep trying to improve, and then, you know, find ways to make the next month that much better. So I was actually thinking about that, you know, like, yeah, this last month, you know, I probably, you know, it was probably the worst reinvesting month I've had in over a year. But I was thinking about next month. I was thinking about MSTY double paying. Like, that's going to be amazing, especially if Bitcoin starts to take off and the implied volatility goes up and all that. And, you know, the distributions are a little bit better. So my plan is, since it's paying twice in 1 month, I really want to take one of those distributions, and probably the highest. So let's say, you know, one is is $1.50 and the other one is $2. I want to take that $2 distribution and reinvest all of it. That's my plan. And that should be thousands of dollars that I can reinvest into my portfolio. And then later on in the year, when crypto starts to run, which historically that's what it does, the summer is not so great, but then just like last year, October, November, and maybe December, it starts to run more and we'll get those bigger distributions. So that's what I'm hoping for. And that's what I would say is, just look towards the future, find ways you can improve, find ways you can reinvest and help your future self out. And you're gonna be glad that you did it. Find ways to save money, take that money, and this is the key, you have to reinvest it. Okay, if you save $50 a month, you need to reinvest $50 a month extra. All right, so make it count. Make it count. If you don't need to take that vacation, maybe consider not taking it. And forget the cars and the phones and the shoes and the handbags. Like, if you don't need it, you should cut it out, because I'm going to tell you this: there is nothing better your money can buy than personal freedom. Get your personal freedom. Trust me on this, it is the greatest feeling in the world. And those other things, they'll come later. You'll be able to buy what you want in the future. But for now, get to a place where you have your personal freedom. Now, does that mean you're not going to work? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Maybe you run a business and maybe you do continue working, but the point is you don't have to. That's what personal freedom is. You don't have to do something that you don't want to do. And that's where you want to get to. And if you continually reinvest, you find ways, to kind of budget if you have to, make some sacrifices now, reinvest into your portfolio, you'll get there. And just keep that in mind. Like if you have a bad month, don't worry about it. Next month is better, right? The month after that will be better. And hopefully, next year, your portfolio can double. I mean, who knows? And, your output, your distributions, your dividends, those will all be higher. So just keep looking to the future and just stay positive.